It says recording in progress, so they're already recording. All right, so what do you want me to do with regard to the screen? So, yeah, Kevin is on the screen, so we want the boardroom screen up there. Camera control. Oh, it's fine. It's clicked in now. We have another person. Okay, and then, so once they use my computer for the HDMI, it's still not creating a problem. They should be able to see that on the screen. Still so. For the presentation, for the, they're doing two presentations and they need to use my laptop. I know. Yeah, well, they're just doing a PDF presentation. No, they don't have it on USB. They emailed it to me. I didn't think about that today.
Me and Laura, but solid is all I got. Laura.
We're doing a meeting, it's not. Yeah, yeah, he's done it before. Okay, I just want to make sure we're good. Okay. Okay, all right, thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, sorry for the confusion, you guys.
Are we good?
But I hope so. I don't usually use my
We
laptop.
can pass around.
But we are recording right now, so we will officially. Let me hang up from him. Thanks, Robert.
No. We just.
And we'll flip off this part of it. Normally we don't have all this activity to be sitting right thing screen. Okay. All right, there's another board member.
Everybody.
Oh, people.
Okay.
Yeah, up there, well.
Gloria.
Chip.
Alright, sir. Good see. I got email from him. That's all I got.
Oh, sorry.
Laura. No update. Sir, I already did today.
How you doing?
Doing great. How are you? Hey.
He's taking. Davidson.
Are you okay with me? I can move.
Just-
Greg, it's not.
It's all right.
Suggested I can sit here.
Chair,
On the inside?
just take one of those seats and put it where you.
I'll do that.
There's some characters. It's like, it's much. I think there's a chair up in the side of Amy. It doesn't have to be like.
Well, no, we're fine. It's not.
Okay,
Okay, it's normal.
You good? Yeah. That's right, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nine, doesn't
Oh. 9.
Yeah. Dave, you might just, you have a seat there. Sit there. I thought it was him. I didn't know there was a chair. I was gonna show you where to grab the chair.
No, you're good. I can be spread here.
Yeah.
Do you need me to send it to you again?
No, I have it. That's not the issue. Mhm. I'm just pulling it up to make sure we're ready, Debbie. Deborah.
You're never supposed to be on it.
here. And then. When we go down, we don't really use this, but, you know, because we just use it. Okay, it is now, oh, I thought it was later than that. It is now 4:34 p.m. Dr. Board, you officially call the meeting to order.
Welcome, everyone, to our Monday, March 24th, 2025 Louisville West End Opportunity Partnership Board meeting. I want to first start out, if you don't mind, we could have a moment of silence for the loss of Ulysses Lee Jr. Bridgman, who was one of our wonderful contributors to the partnership and an all-around great person for just supporting the West End and anything that had to do with Louisville. So if you don't mind, just a moment of silence. Thank you for that time. If you, we will go ahead and open up our meeting. We have our approval of our, I'm sorry, roll call. Thank you.
All right. All right. Sharon Allen. Alicia Burns. Dr. Douglas Craddock.
Present.
Jennifer Hancock. Tammy Hawkins.
Present.
Alicia Burns is present. Okay, there's some chairs, Alicia. Inside there. Thank you.
Oh, we can pull one up.
Uh-huh.
I appreciate that.
Secretary Keith L. Jackson.
Present.
Deputy Mayor David James.
Present.
Darlene Johnson Jones. Dr. Baker Jones Jr.
I'm here.
Dr. Mary Milliner. Here. Mike Nagel. Lyndon Pryor. Christopher Romaine.
Present.
Desmond Smith Jr. Kevin Smith.
Present.
Did you say present? I still got Dr. Smith. Sorry. Reverend Jordan. William Summers.
Yeah.
Gary Williams. Secretary Jeff Knoll.
Present.
Jeff O'Brien.
Here.
That's it. We have a quorum, correct, Amy?
We do.
Okay, thank you,
All right.
Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. And now we will have a vote to approve the January 27th, 2025 board meetings. We'll have a motion to approve those meeting minutes.
Second.
Was
David
that-
James.
David James, thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nay. Motion is carried. And also we have the public comments as of right now. If we have anyone from the from our participants here in or online that would like to make a statement, you have 3 minutes. We have time for 5 participants. Anyone? Move on. And now we have our wonderful Laura Douglas, who is the president and CEO. We have our CEO report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have some presentations that we want to do to cover at the first part of the meeting. I think many of you can recollect at think it was at our last meeting, there was a discussion about the phase 4 of Waterfront Park. And it's going to be located between 10th Street and 14th Street in the Portland area. And there was some interest in getting up-to-date information regarding the phase 4 of Waterfront. We have with us Deborah Politsky from the city, and she's going to go into a detailed presentation so that we'll know what's going on in phase 4.
Thank you.
Deborah.
Thank you, everybody.
And Deborah, I'm going to attempt.
We're gonna make an attempt
To make this happen?
show a presentation.
Yes, we are. Rabbit. We are. There it is. It was taking its time. Travis, we always need that eye contact, Travis. Do you want to sit there? You want to?
Just click it from here, maybe.
Not on the screen. You can do it from here.
This
From-
doesn't work on it?
No, not on the screen. It works on this screen.
I gotcha, okay.
Okay, all right.
You want to see?
No, I'll stand right
You can have
here.
this seat,
Okay.
all right, and you can have the mouse. No, I'm good. I'm over here. Thank you.
Hey. Hi, everybody. Good to see you all. I am Deborah Belitsky. I'm the Executive Director of Waterfront Park, and I am very excited to be here with you today. Thank you so very much for the invitation. And I'm here to talk about the Phase 4 park expansion, which hopefully by now, everybody's at least heard a little bit something about. But it is the 22-acre planned expansion of Waterfront Park between 10th and 14th Streets along the Ohio River. There isn't actually a 14th Street, it's a railroad bridge. But it's on that section, 22 acres, amazing space. And just to show you the proximity or where it's located, it's compared to what you know of as the existing 85-acre waterfront park. It is going to be connected in multiple ways. It currently is connected by the Riverwalk that extends along River Road. But we are working with the city on some improvements to that area under the Belvedere, which are horrible. It's just a very unpleasant place to be. So those improvements, which will widen the Riverwalk in that area and add some new lighting, will help create a nicer corridor connectivity throughout the areas of Waterfront Park. And then there's also a River Road extension that is planned and in the works, and slow as molasses, but moving forward. And the last I heard, don't hold your breath, but that construction may begin in late 2026. So that will connect River Road from where it terminates now at 7th and 8th Streets, right under the 9th Street overpass and into the front of this park expansion at Rowan Street. So one of my favorite things about this section of Waterfront Park is how connected it is into the surrounding neighborhoods, which is something that we really don't have in any other area of Waterfront Park. It is connected directly into the street grid at 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th Streets. And within a 20-minute walk of that Phase 4 site, we have over 10,000 residents. So we are bringing Waterfront Park to essentially the front doors or close walking distance to 10,000 people in the closest neighborhoods of Portland and Russell. And it actually extends in even outside of those neighborhoods. It'll also be connected by the Riverwalk into the Portland neighborhood, and we have a planned long-term expansion for a connector over the railroad tracks there at 14th Street directly into the Portland neighborhood. That is probably a later phase of the project as it's in the far western side of the site. So we are under construction and actually almost finished essentially with construction of the first phase. But I wanted to show you kind of how we plan to develop this in phases. The first phase, or we call it Phase 4A. And by the way, we call it Phase 4 because we developed the other sections of Waterfront Park so far in 3 phases. So it's just the 4th phase of our development. But we're breaking it into sections. Phase 4A, which is about 3.5 acres, and it's the area there in yellow. That is what is in progress now, almost at the very finish line of being complete. And then we've scoped out another section, which we call Phase 4B, which is about 8.5 acres. And then the remaining portion is what we call Phase 4C. You will notice, and that's kind of in the green, just to the south of the interstate of Phase 4B, C is about a 3-acre parcel that we will get from the Norfolk Southern Railroad someday, because they have no use for it. But we fully plan to incorporate that additional acres into the site. But what I want to tell you about is what we are planning to open on Wednesday of this very week. The Children's Experiential Learning Area we have designed in partnership with Kentucky Science Center. It is unlike anything else we have in the region. It incorporates real river artifacts and construction equipment and turns it into an interactive play area for children that also folds in a layer of education through our partnership with Kentucky Science Center. So there's interpretive and educational signage all throughout this site. 10 of the signs that are of the 41 signs that we've put around the site. And these are like signs that you would see if you go to a science center or a children's museum that tell you what it is that you're looking at or how it works in real life. And there are also signs that have play prompts that cue children to go do things or be things. And 10 of the signs have QR codes that lead to videos that have been produced by Kentucky Science Center for extended learning or take-home activities for parents and teachers. So it's really unlike anything. This is the rendering. It was a really hard, it's even hard to photograph. Oh, here's some of the signage that we have. This is an example of what the signage looks like, real fun, interactive signage. But like I said, we have real things that you would find on a working river or working construction site that kids would not normally get up close and personal, be able to touch and feel and maneuver. And we bring it to life here and build in this education and fun. So that's an example of the signage. But this is our construction progress. As of February 2025, we are now in March of 2025, and we are opening it in 2 days. We are literally putting the finishing final touches and paint and touch-ups and finishing the surfaces and everything. We've planted over 100 trees just in this little area alone. Like I said, this is just 3 acres, and then there's a parking lot underneath. So the entirety, it's 3.5 acres. It also includes an event or what we call a classroom building, a small building that organizations can bring camps. The Science Center can do science camps where you can have birthday parties. And then there's also a public restroom building. So all in 3.5 acres, amazing. This photograph doesn't even do it justice. You really have to come down and see it to believe it. Please come to the grand opening. This is just one of it's built on 2 themes, a river section and a construction section. And so this is the river section, excuse me. That's a real captain's bridge or pilot house that we've sourced. That's a real shipping container. That's a real crane. That's real nautical chain. So these are things that are authentic. And it's really meant to bring the site and relevance to the fact that we're on the Ohio River, which is a working river. And we are at the site where our city was built and grew. So the construction theme. And then we, as I mentioned, we have a grand opening on Wednesday at 11 a.m. Please come out and join us. And we did have the privilege of having some children out for a preview about a week and a half or 2 weeks ago on a beautiful day, and they gave us, oh, thanks, Gina. Gina was involved in the very, very early days, helping us to engage the community during COVID when we couldn't do the outreach. So she helped us do some online outreach and surveys. So anyway, here it is, Gina and everyone, and all of you who are involved in it. We are grateful. The whole Waterfront Park Phase 4 is a $50 million project. And so far we have raised a little over $36.5 million. So we have made some fantastic progress, but we still have a ways to go, more work to do as we continue to develop this park in sections or phases. We will first and foremost, as we did with Playport, go out to the community and ask what it is that they would like to see in their waterfront. and build on that to develop the plans for the next phase. So that's where we are. I hope I stayed in my time, Rita,
Yes, you did.
and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions at all at this point? Thank you very much. We've been excited about the project. One of our board members, Mike Nagel from
Oh, Mike's been
Portland
with us
has
along the way.
been telling us about it.
Yes, he's been a great help in linking us with the Portland neighborhood. We've been working with Miss Jackie and the Russell neighborhood and lots of others. So thank you all. I know you all have been doing great work out there, and I think we're just grateful for your willingness to keep up with what's going on and appreciate your giving me the floor today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, the second item that we have under an information piece is going to be a presentation by Dr. Dawn Wade and her colleagues from Nimbus. And I know all of you know Dr. Wade. She was formerly a member of this board, but is now our strategic communications consultant. And she has been working hard to bring some ideas forward. Today, what she's going to present to you is a concept, and we're just going to start us to thinking. So it's nothing to prove today, but some concepts for us to start thinking about, and then we'll have an opportunity, perhaps at a board retreat, to delve into these concepts with more specificity. Dr. Wade.
Thank you, Ms. Lord. So as you are aware, as the partnership is new to the community and it's setting its foundational aspects, one of the biggest things that, residents, businesses, nonprofits are asking are, what is it here for? What is it supposed to do? How is it going to help? So, when Nimbus came on board, we wanted to be very strategic in what we were doing from that perspective and make sure that we're articulating what the mission and the vision of the partnership are. And the partnership has been here since 2020, I think. I always get 2020, 21 confused, but it's 4 years in, a solid 4 years in. And one of the things we want to make sure that we're doing from a communications perspective is that we clarify and elevate the positioning of the partnership so people understand and we do that through compelling messaging and visuals that talk about the impact of what we're trying to do. And ultimately, when we do that, we get to increase awareness about the long-term vision, the long-term opportunity, and hopefully increase engagement from residents, from businesses, from nonprofits. And ultimately, when we do that successfully, we get to strengthen trust and transparency. And we also get to realize and showcase and bring a lot of highlights to the success that we're having within, the West End. But we want to do it in a way where we show the success stories of those who benefit from it, but also measurable outcomes. And we want to show that the investment that has been entrusted to the partnership has been used appropriately, and it's helping all of the 9 neighborhoods strengthen themselves and be sustainable for the long term. So in order to do that from a communication perspective, we have to acknowledge a lot of what people are saying. We have to acknowledge the challenges that we face. So a lot of what you see in that left column is the job to be done through communications. And when we do that, we recognize what the opportunity is. And ultimately, when we do our jobs right, we're able to have success and you have outcomes. So I won't read through all of this, but in the short term, we want to increase public awareness about what the partnership does. Why is it important? We want to clarify the value proposition. What kind of change are we trying to establish here through the partnership? And ultimately, we want to build relationships and trust in a way that builds a network of supporters so that residents feel that we're here to support them. Businesses recognize that this is not just a vehicle and a tool for success, but also a place that understands the nuances of the neighborhoods to be able to help drive change that's long-term and sustainable. So in order to do that, we have to be honest about, how it's seen now. And we've spent time, and I have my team. You see Kaja over, far right, raise your hand, Kaja, Jennifer and Bree. And we have a team of strategists. Kaja's on the strategies team, but we have a team of strategists who help And some of those strategists are actually from the West End, and most of them are from Louisville. So we have a unique experience where we live here and we shop here and we understand what's going on. So this is kind of our take of like what we're seeing now, that the partnership is a resource that supports economic growth, but it lacks that foundational brand awareness in terms of what it's established for, right? But if we can do our job from a communication standpoint, we want to make sure that the partnership is seen as a trusted leader, meaning an organization, not a person, but an organization that's driving sustainable growth and community investment. You know, right now we say like the partnership is open for business. So people say, well, they have this $30 million. I need 10 for this, or I want $1 million for this, right? They see it as a pocketbook, and it's a fund or a source of funding, but they don't understand like how it works. They don't understand really like what does that 80 cent off of a dollar go towards, and how, you know, what does that do over 20 years? So we really want to be visible and transparent and be a partner that clearly articulates the progress. It articulates the opportunities that exist by opening and taking applications, and also measuring impact. And that means partnering with the right organizations to help drive change within the community, but also make sure that we're doing things that are important to the residents. So that middle layer is very important about being transparent and showcasing that through our actions. You know, right now the partnership is seen as a vital role in, you know, shaping the future, but people don't understand how and why. Like why is it just Metro government doing it, or why isn't this doing it? And we really want to be seen as this catalyst for lasting change that connects residents, nonprofits, and businesses to create this social transformation that's needed. So it's a solution that for a problem that, you know, has been going on for a long time, but it's seen as a change agent. And we want to make sure that we're articulating that, not just in our words, but in our actions and all the communications moving forward. So in order to do that, we have to establish a clear mission. You know, we have to have a vision, and we have to have values that we embody through our actions. And I'm saying we because for some reason I still consider myself a part of this board. But for all of you all, in terms of how you talk about what the partnership is as you go out. So one of the things to do that is say, what's the long-term impact if we embody these values and we have the behaviors that we exhibit daily, what happens in the long term if we do that? So I'm gonna go a little bit in reverse, just because values are things that represent who you are. It represents the morals, the behaviors that you exhibit daily, how people see you when they run into you, how you engage with them, right? So when we think about the partnership, this isn't one person on the partnership. So this isn't the COO or the CEO or the CFO. These are those people, in addition to the people who are on the board, who are part of the advisory council, as well as those who are given their time, whether they're volunteering, whether they're being paid from an operations perspective. But when we think about the values that we want to exhibit as an organization, these are some of the values that come to mind. So that's collaborating. That's collaborating with the community, the residents, the businesses, having empathy to recognize that everybody's not equal in terms of where they stand and the challenges they face. It's talking about equity, realizing that one may need more than the other to be on the same playing field, right? Honesty, being honest about what it is we're trying to do and honest about what they need in order to be successful. But we also have to recognize that while the partnership is a tool, it can only be used for certain purposes. So ensuring that innovation is brought into what we're doing. So it's not just funding opportunities and plans that are status quo, but believing in the future of what these 9 neighborhoods can be in the future. So it's embodying a spirit of innovation. Also resilience, being able to stand the test of time, respect, service, and transparency. And based off of those, you know, Nimbus has recommended the top 3 of collaboration, because the partnership can't do this alone. The people in this room can't make the sustainable change that's needed to last, you know, for the next 20 years. But that requires collaboration. So we feel like that has to be a value that's embodied. Equity, meaning, as I said earlier, everybody has different needs. All organizations are in different places. So we want to make sure that we're promoting equity, but ultimately transparency. And I think that given the history of the partnership and things that happened in the 9 neighborhoods prior to the partnership being formed, that's a fundamental behavior that we have to embody to be able to do that. So when you think about value, you have these values that you embody and you act on those in all the projects that the partnership touches and all the things that it does, then it allows you to have a mission, right? And a mission is something that's quick that you can talk about. That's your elevator speech. But those are the things that you're doing daily, right? That's what the partnership is focused on. Every meeting that you all have, all these committee sessions, all the things that you're doing from an outreach perspective, that's what your mission is as an organization. And one that we've done a lot of research of other organizations and looked at the nuances that the partnership has faced and what it embodies and having the neighborhood representatives. So this is the mission statement that we think reflects the partnership best. And it's to invest in the residents, nonprofits, and businesses across Louisville's West End by providing the resources and opportunities necessary to drive responsible revitalization, foster economic growth, and create a thriving, prosperous community for all. And this is the work that needs to be done every day, every week, every month, every year for the 20 years that it's in the legislation of what it's supposed to be, right? So if we do that and we do that successfully and stay focused, then we're able to meet our vision. That vision is that long term. If we do our mission accurately, and it allows us to achieve this, and this is a long term, something that you can look back on and say, are our actions helping us get to this vision down the road in 10 years, and 15 years, and 20 years? So this is the vision that we've crafted. And it says, through strategic investments and sustained support, the partnership will empower West Louisville's residents, nonprofits, and businesses, helping them overcome racial prejudice and segregation, fostering a resilient, vibrant, and economically empowered community driven by collective action and long-term change. So as you can see, that's a big statement. And that's not something that, one, you'll ever remember, but two, it incorporates why the partnership was established in the first place. And at that 20-year mark, you want to look back and say, this is what we've accomplished. This is what we've overcome to achieve by the work that we've done, as an organization. So I've said a lot, but I'll pause. I don't know, if Ms. Laura has any thoughts as it pertains to that. But as you can see, this is all a stepping stone to get to somewhere greater within that pyramid. But it helps everyone be able to articulate. And if somebody is coming to the partnership for advice, support, funding, they can understand where they fit in. And it's either going to attract them because they say, this is an organization for someone like me or my business, or they say, this organization might not be what I need because I'm not trying to do one of these things.
Are there any questions or comments at this point?
I think it's work is really good. I think the mission and the vision statement reflect really our task and what we want to accomplish.
Great. And at this point, it's being presented as something to think about. And as I mentioned earlier, we'll have an opportunity at a retreat to delve into this in much more depth, but at least this is a starting point. It's something for us to kind of jointly focus our attention on and just use it as a jumping off point. Yes.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I think it also provides, and Dr. Wade kind of talked about it, the unanswered questions
Yes.
about, what we do and the reason why we do it and the justification behind it. So having these words on paper for people actually to read, to be able to build a conversation and knowledge is extremely important. And I think Nimbus does a great job of doing that, so.
Anything else?
Welcome
back, Doctor.
Yeah. Thank you.
I miss y'all. But as she said, these words are here for consideration. There may be other words that can plug in to help deliver it, but you want to stay true to who the organization is. So it's something that you kind of got to sit with, walk away, and come back. And
Yes.
I think, Kaja, how many versions are we on of this?
It's like 3 or 4.
Yeah, a solid 4. A solid 4. But, something for consideration.
And we can pull out the particular slides that you talked about today, so we have something to send to the
Yes.
board so
Yes,
that they can
absolutely.
have something in front of them to
Yes.
marinate.
Yeah.
I think that would be good, because I know there's a lot more.
Oh, yeah.
but-
And it does give people a starting point for discussion.
Definitely.
If you're questioned by people in your neighborhood, that some starting point where you can talk with them about what it is that you are about, what we are doing And it also gives us something to focus on and to refine as we go forward. So thank you again, Dr. Tremendous work. And Madam Chair, that completes my part of the agenda.
That'd be great. Tammy was talking on the.
Pardon me?
What she
Who was?
looked like Tammy was saying something. Tammy, oh, I'm sorry.
She's talking to somebody.
Okay.
Oh.
It's not us.
Okay,
Okay,
yes,
that's
she
not
is.
talk.
Okay,
Okay.
okay,
All
so,
right.
so that takes us to our community updates. I'm sorry, our committee update. So we will now do our finance report.
Ma'am, thank you.
Yeah, finance is getting ready.
Everybody hear me? I think everybody got the financials for January and February. The finance committee did have a meeting and we looked over these and we do recommend approving these, but before we do, I would, if anybody looked over these and had any questions. Representative Snarden, always good to see you. This first meeting,
Yes.
well, appreciate you being here.
So
Glad
that
that you're
gives,
here.
that gives us a nice segue to say it louder and reinforce it. Thank you for being present.
Yes.
The first meeting, and for those of you, just to keep you up to date, he's the One West representative.
Reverend Snard, thank you so much for being here. Good to see you.
So like I said, man, we got the January and February financials and like I said, the finance committee met and we did accept these and we recommend the full board accept these. But I did want to give anybody had any questions or any concerns about anything they saw. If not, I guess, can I get a vote to accept the financials for January and February? So, if there's no other discussion, all in favor? Are there any opposed? Thank you. Now, we do have, Justin Crow, you wanna give us kind of an update on what you guys been working on for us as well?
Yeah, so Blackbaud, the implementation is going, they had all the information from us, from West End, Otis and his team. So we have a testing date with them, April 1st, with Crow going in and do some testing in the system. Go live date is May 1st. So from that point on, Crow will be able to do you guys' financials for April. Otis and his team will do it for for March. And then we'll have that going forward. Budget, I pretty much have a budget of draft of the expenses pretty much wrapped up. I have like one more thing to add. Me and Rita talked about today. I get that over to Rita and Laura this week. And that's it.
Anybody else have any questions for Justin and the team at Crow? Appreciate all the work that you guys been doing on that, working with Rita and Laura and Otis. If not, Chip, you got an update from us for us?
No
Anything?
update other than Gary Morris said today that they are working on some legal, the questions were raised from the February meeting. They're working through their legal issues.
That's in relationship to Tiff's number that we're waiting on, so just, hopeful to get that soon, but Chip, appreciate you staying on top of that and helping us work through that. Now we got, Cornerstone, man, we got some good funding requests. I mean, we had at the finance committee, we looked and heard these, and it's very exciting to finally kind of get to doing what we were tasked to do as far as making some investments. So, Travis.
I think they're gonna start with an update.
Yeah.
Of applications. Recall that usually when Travis is with us, one of the things that he does is to just generally go through the kinds of applications that we've received, what their status is, so that we'll have an understanding of how many requests there are, the dollar amount of the request, whether they're traditional businesses, small businesses, or nonprofits. Because that gives us a sense of the questions that people are being asked and who's approaching us for support. So we'll do that part first, and then we'll go on to the historic part of the agenda.
Hello, everyone. As Laura just mentioned, my name is Travis Fox, Cornerstone Engineering. We're your program management team. We're facilitating the intake and the assessment of the applications that come to the partnership for funding. Just to give you a quick overview of the request thus far. The 4 pillars that are within the criteria for eligibility are small business, nonprofit, traditional enterprise, and of course, any project that the board decides to initiate. So if you can go to that program stats. So thus far, there have been 24 applications submitted. The difference between now and the last finance meeting, there were 4 that were added. There's 6 small businesses, 11 nonprofits, and 7 traditional. They range anywhere between $30,000 and $9.5 million. We have one that has not applied, but is in the pipeline as well. So that's one active. There's 2 sources that we've identified that are willing to enter into agreement with the partnership. They help undergird the efforts of these nonprofits as well as the small businesses that may not be quite capital investment ready, but these 2 resources are in the community and willing to help. So we have that identified as well. You can slide down a little bit more for me. So there's 2 in California, 3 in Chickasaw, 3 in Parkland, 1 in Portland, 7 in Russell, and 3 in Shawnee. And there's 5 applications that have been submitted that have not quite picked a location yet. As you know, there wasn't any requirement as far as, you know, a go or no go, whether you can or can't apply. The requirement is, though, that it impacts the West End of Louisville. So there are some that have applied but just haven't actually picked a brick and mortar location. The next tab, the request tab, the yellow one. So thus far, there have been just over $11 million in requests for loans and just over $24 million in requests for grants, for a total of just over $35 million. Since the last meeting, the difference is $3.5 million. I'm gonna get a little closer because my eyes aren't looking. Any questions on the summary?
How are folks signifying that they would like a grant versus a loan?
When they go onto the website, there's 2 different locations. Whether you want a grant or a loan, then you can go into that location. If it's a nonprofit, then you go there. But there's been a couple of nonprofits that have actually applied for loans.
I'll look up, that may not be clear, because I've had folks who have been, they hadn't seen the grant part of that.
Okay.
And I haven't myself, I haven't actually gone into the application to see it myself, so I don't know where they're getting.
Yeah, it asks the question, is your request a grant or a loan in the application? But next month, there'll also be some new language there. We're gonna open up another portal that will have simplified things. And one of that reason is from your request a few months ago to sort of clarify a few things. So we're gonna be changing it out, and there's some changes coming, so you all will see that very soon.
And one other factor, each applicant also has a conversation directly with Travis. So that once they fill out whatever application, there's an opportunity for them to further clarify whether they're interested in a grant or interested in a loan. So there's face-to-face communication.
We reach out after the applications have been submitted, and we actually conduct an interview with them. So there's further questions that they answer.
So if Lynn and I or anyone else wanted to see what the process was for people that are applying for this, can we just put in an application and email you that, hey, I'm putting in a fake application?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we know, what people are experiencing?
Absolutely. And I'd be happy to get on a call or have a meeting with you guys and go through it if you like. Any other questions about the summary itself? All right. Well, if you don't mind, we're gonna go ahead and move into the applicants that we have, we're presenting for actual funding. The first is,
These have been presented to the finance committee. And at the finance committee meeting, that committee recommends those for funding.
Yeah.
And that's why they're coming forward now.
so both of these entities, as Laura said, have been presented to the finance committee and their financials have been turned over to Crow as well. So what we're about to give you is basically a summary of their actual entities, what they do in the community, how they impact the community itself. The first up is the Delta Foundation, which Wes Hinton is its founder. Wes spent 10 years working for JCPS as a teacher there, and he also coached for them as well. You can go down some. So the purpose of Delta's mission is to support at-risk students in achieving academic success through mentorship, tutoring, and sports engagement. I've visited their facility a couple of times over in Portland. It's a fantastic facility. And one of the things that Wes doesn't just focus on is the star athlete. He focuses on the person that without sports may be slipping through the cracks. So when I actually visited their site, there was tutoring going on. There's a books and basketball program that happens later on in the evening. So I was able to witness some of this stuff going on, and the kids enjoyed it. I think that this is impactful to the community. Some of the key goals include finalizing renovations to enhance the facility's functionality and aesthetic appeal, enhancing the organization's capacity to serve more students annually and provide a sustainable wage for employees, expanding staffing to include 3 full-time and 3 part-time employees with long-term goals of hiring 10 full-time staff members, partnering with 10 impactful nonprofit lease spaces. So this is a 30,000 square facility. They are actually housing nonprofits and for-profit businesses within the facility. There's 5 that they have under lease right now. Their goals are their goals, but specifically what they're requesting now is $50,000 in a grant to do complete renovation. You can scroll up. The current tenants, as I just mentioned, some of the nonprofits that are also doing work in the community, A1 Foundation, It Takes a Village 502, Portland Avenue Community Trust, ACE Project, as well as TC Ministries. So the impact as a teacher and a coach, Delta Foundation founder Wes Hinton witnessed the positive impact of sports could have on students' health and academics. But the thing was that some of these students that needed the most help, they actually couldn't afford the uniforms, couldn't afford to show up for practices, couldn't have the time to focus. So what Wes did was, he created this, and they stayed in this facility for 5 years before they had the opportunity to actually purchase the facility. And then he began to partner with West End schools as well. Carter Elementary, Falls Elementary, Portland Elementary, Roosevelt Perry Elementary, Western Middle School, Grace James Middle School, Hudson Middle School, Johnson Middle School. So more than 80% of the hoops and homework participants increased their GPA by 0.5 to 1.5 points, increasing school attendance from 79% to 94%, decreasing school suspensions from 37 to 9. The programs that they have in place, as I mentioned, the books and basketball, I was actually there on one of the evenings while this was going on. It was probably 30 young kids there before it even started that evening. So I didn't stay all evening, so I don't know how many came eventually, but it was really lively atmosphere there. Hoops and homework, the summer camp as well. They have a trade program teaching carpentry and other skills. West Louisville's Girls Volleyball League. So thus far, they have community partners, A1 All-Stars, Community Catholic, Community Connections, Dare to Care, Evolve 502, Hand in Hand Ministries, JCPS, Louisville Metro PD, Metro United Ways, and the funders, Brown and Foreman, Crail Foundation, Creation Gardens, Evolve 502, Jeans Foundation, Humana Foundation, LG&E, and Metro United Way. So as I stated, it's a 35,000 square foot facility at 2508 Portland Avenue. Since they've been in the building, they've did $42,000 in HVAC system, $22,000 they put a brand new gym in, $7,000 for some of the windows in the cafeteria. They need more windows, but they specifically did the windows in the cafeteria first because they're going to use the kitchen as a commissary. So there, some of the food trucks and some of the caterers that are in the community can use this kitchen as their permitted commissary space. Other improvements that they made by installing Wi-Fi throughout the building, taking down damaged fence and batting cage, and Delta's in the process numerous landscaping upgrades. Actually, when I went out, they've started some of that work outside. Community benefits, of course, as I just said, it creates a safe space for the children there. Renovation needs, they want to repaint the outside, get rid of the PCS logos, do the windows. They want to paint the exterior, flooring inside. You can scroll down a little bit. As you see, this is the gym that I just mentioned. This is the actual building, the facility itself. These are some of the rooms, the breakout rooms that are actually inside the location that they've already done work on as far as renovations go. This is the cafeteria where they've replaced the windows. And inside of here is basically a full-scale commercial kitchen. This is a quote that they received for the work that they need done now. That of that $84,000, they actually have another donor in place, which we provided that information to Crow. Their renovation budget that they're requesting from the partnership, $20,000 for flooring, $15,000 for windows, $15,000 for painting, a total of $50,000. Their timeline is very aggressive. They're looking to finish all of this work by summertime this year. And as I said, there's additional documentation that they submitted as far as lease, mortgage. They actually show that they have full control of the site, letters of support, different information from the building renovation plans, the current tenants that they have in place, the agreements. You all have their impact reports in your hands. And they've also submitted their financials, which Crow has gone through from 2023 to 2025. And if I'm not mistaken, you guys didn't find any glaring red flags, correct? No. So does anyone have any questions concerning Delta Foundation?
I'd like, since it's in Portland too, man, Mike, speak to this as well a little bit.
So I've known Wes, I think probably about ever since they've been in the neighborhood, starting in 2019 or 2020. You know, they're very active. They're not only take care of their, you know, the kids in their program, but they do multiple community outreach events, Thanksgiving, food donations all throughout the year, community cleanups. They're quite involved. They're quite noticeable. And I think Travis was putting it a little lightly in that they had the opportunity to purchase their building. The owner of their building approached them and said, "Hey, I'm selling your building. Would you like, you could buy it." And, they have a program that needs a big giant gym and all this other stuff. There's not a whole lot of facilities that, for them to move would have been very difficult. They turned what could have been a crisis into an opportunity, raise the money, purchase the building, and then it's an old school. So they have a lot of rooms in the building that they're not using for their program. So they're actually renting those out to other nonprofits and for-profit institutions within the neighborhood. So it's kind of, lifting up others along with them. They've been in the neighborhood for quite a while. I can't remember ever hearing anything negative about them or their program. For people familiar with Portland, that's a sport. So to not hear anything is remarkable. So, I think, also know Wes's kids and my kids go to the same school, and his daughter and mine are both cheerleaders. So I know them, I see Wes a lot. And he's This facility is adjacent to my commercial property. So I mean, I think it's a slam dunk opportunity. I don't have any objections.
Tammy also has her hand up.
Amy,
Thank, yeah, thank you. The Delta Foundation, is knee deep in the community. I will say that. It does take a village, and they've even reached out to other nonprofits, and been working with them. That space, I think, will be greatly utilized. I believe that they were in the process of trying to gain ownership. I know that they partner with Northeast Christian Church. I mean, they partner with Parkland Business Development Association. They partner with a lot of other programs, and they bring kids from all over. I've been down there myself. I think that they are very good actors in the community. I would support it.
And Tammy, they have ownership now of the building.
Okay, good, good. I know they was trying to get it.
I'll just be brief. Everybody that I've talked to, in Russell, is in total agreement with what has been said here, to a person. So.
That's good enough.
Any other questions? CEO, I turn it back over to you.
This is a recommendation
It is
from the finance.
recommendation for the finance committee, so, I mean, I guess we just take a vote on that, because at the end of the day, we recommended it, so, if you wanna vote, do you wanna take a roll call vote?
if that's what you'd like for me to do, I'm happy to.
The vote is on granting a $50,000 grant to this organization to continue the work that it's doing in the Portland neighborhood. And that's a recommendation that's coming from the finance committee. And recall that that's what our process is, that these are reviewed at the finance committee level. And then the finance committee will bring them forward if they believe that everything is lined up and appropriate for funding.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
I'm taking my candy out. I'm just going to go down the entire list. I know we have a few people not here. Sharon Allen, Alicia Burns,
I vote yes.
Dr. Douglas Craddock.
Yeah.
Jennifer Hancock. Jennifer,
Aye. Hi.
Tammy Hawkins. Tammy Hawkins.
Can you
Secretary
hear me? I'm here. I was on mute.
Well, you, Tammy, we're taking a vote on the Delta Foundation. Do you
Oh,
support it?
definitely. Yes, I support that. Yes.
Okay, Secretary Jackson,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor David James.
Yes.
Here, Dr. Gabe,
Yes.
Dr. Milliner,
Yes.
Mike Nagel,
Yes.
Lyndon Pryor,
Yes.
Christopher Romaine,
Yes.
Desmond's not here, Kevin Smith,
Yes.
Reverend Snarden,
Yes.
William Summers,
Yes.
and let's see, Gary's not here. Okay.
Right, that
Yep.
carries, that we could get that approved, and I think that organization, we're very happy. I think it'd be good for the community. Thank you, Michael,
At
for
14.
that representation, and thank you for the knowledge that you brought about that organization.
It's our first
I
one.
think it's a big deal for us too.
Yeah.
That's the first one.
Correct. This is the first one.
How soon will they be able to receive their funds?
Well, I mean, as soon as,
Immediately.
As soon as we have their
Uh-huh,
banking
as soon as we-
information.
uh-huh. Yeah.
I believe you guys already have.
all right, number 2.
All right, so next we have Good Brothers Pharmacy. The founder of this enterprise is Deshaun King and Isaiah Jones. Isaiah Jones, a young man from the community, actually was taught in the Bible class from one of our construction director in his Bible class here in the community. So they are born and bred in the West End of Louisville. Their business is Good Brothers Pharmacy. These two young men have been trying to get this business off the ground for quite some time. It's located at 2306 West Market. They're in the Russell neighborhood, directly across from Mike's neighborhood there in Portland. They've had Dr. Kwando Amantua already signed on as the part-time pharmacist, as well as there's another pharmacist in charge that is signed on that's gonna work with them. And they are consulted by Dr. Ray Chanel as part-time pharmacist as well, and consultants, independent RX. So this will be a neighborhood pharmacy, like I said, right there in the Russell neighborhood. Primary goal is to provide prescription medication to residents of the Russell neighborhood, the surrounding West neighborhoods, and adjacent communities within Louisville, Kentucky. Both historic and recent studies have highlighted significant health disparities, which we all know of. Good Brothers Pharmacy serves as a community hub. Its goal is to transition health and wellness practices into patient-friendly experiences built on community values and excellence. Good Brothers Pharmacy will operate both as a physical storefront and have mail-in and online be able to receive orders. Good Brothers Pharmacy anticipates strong sales in the first year and expects to reach profitability by year 2. The why, Deshaun King and Isaiah Jones, these are, like I said, two young men from the community as they prepare to open Good Brothers. Their mission extends beyond filling prescriptions. They envision the pharmacy like we all grew up. When we were kids, you had the neighborhood pharmacy and you knew the pharmacist and your parents went there and you got candy there and got your shot there. So, and they want to be a service to the community. And I think it's, if approved, it will be, the success of this will be incumbent upon all of us, each one of us in the room and each one of us on the call to ensure the success of this, as well as them putting in their own sweat equity, of course. The mission is to meet the pharmacy healthcare needs of individuals and families by providing high quality, affordable, cultural, competent health experiences and services within underserved, disadvantaged communities. Business ownership, the two young men, they own 70% of the business themselves. They have a couple of investors, which we did turn that over to Crow. They left. Okay. So they have their same, just with Delta, they have all of their financials and everything. But there's also some additional documentation that if anyone, just the same as Delta, if you want to see some of their documents, you can request to access to the file. Mike, I know you have access to it. Lyndon does as well. So the startup summary is they're looking to build out the building, provide professional services, fixtures and equipment. Of course, they need marketing material, which they have a $100,000 grant from Doe Anderson for marketing that as soon as they're ready to go, that they will immediately roll out. Software and hardware, licensure and permits, initial inventory and working capital. So Good Brothers is requesting a $250,000 loan with a 4% interest. So where they got that 4% interest from, it matches what they received from METCO. If you all are familiar with METCO, METCO is the city program that helps loan funds to small businesses and entities in the community that are trying to build their capacity up. So they've already secured that funding of $200,000. Initial cost, inventory, and of course, daily operations. Workforce development, the business plans to hire local pharmacy technicians. As I just told you, they already have the agreements in place. Create a co-op program with Central High School and encourage career pathways. Financing the project. Again, I just mentioned METCO. They also have a letter of commitment from Park, and L Home has committed to them as well. They've completed the build out. What these other organizations are waiting for now is just for them to receive additional capital funding beyond what they've already used in expenses for the build out, and to get agreements in place for their pharmacists. So the build out of $130,000, $20,000 for professional fees, $25,000 for marketing, $46,000 for fixtures, $35,000 for software and hardware, working capital of $315,000, initial inventory of $40,000. For a total startup of $611,000 is what their total startup is. And like I said, they've already secured a third of that now. And they're asking for $250,000 from the partnership. Proposed site, again, mentioned at 2306 West Market. This, as we know, I mean, they did some market analysis, but we know that Northern West Hospital has been built in this location. That's why I said it's incumbent upon all of us to ensure the success of this small business if they were to be approved. But there's also senior housing that's going in on Broadway. There's 640 units being built at Beecher Terrace that will also support this. There's the surrounding neighborhoods, there's their delivery services. And one of the ways that small independent pharmacies, how they survive is the services that they provide to the community. That's beyond just what a regular pharmacist would provide. So the independent pharmaceutical have impact of $94 billion in 2023 and $92 billion in 2022, and with a margin of 20% margin. Of course, that net margin is going to be a little different when you're talking about smaller entities. So if everyone invests in them, and these guys have been at this for 5 years trying to get this place open, I believe that they can get it done. So you can scroll up some there. And you all have the paperwork in your hand. You can go through some of the market analysis that they've completed. Again, you can access those folders. They've had U of L do market analysis for them. They've researched the actual pharmacies in the area. They've researched, they put their projections out for the next 5 years. So some of the target customers in healthcare, ultimately the objective is to target healthcare providers serving predominantly minority patients. So they want to create partnerships with those insurance companies. Those insurance companies that already have these people on their tab, but I mean, they're struggling to get to other pharmacies out of their area. This will be right in their neighborhood. Free delivery to their customers is a service right now that no one can provide in the community. The products that they'll provide, you can keep going. Retail prescription, free delivery, immunization. The 340B drug pricing program is a discounted pricing program, whereas when people from the community go get their portion that they'll pay will actually be less than what's usually paid if they enroll in this program. They plan to enroll in this program. Medication synchronization. So medication synchronization is a patient care service designed to enhance the adherence and streamline pharmacy operations. Under this system, each patient is assigned and designated a day to pick up their medication. So they create a routine for them. So therefore, a lot of times people forget their medication, but if they're notifying them, hey, today's your day, you need your refill, come get your medication. Medication therapy. Medication therapy is pharmaceutical care service provided by pharmacists to optimize drug therapy and improve therapeutic outcomes. Approximately 9% of US population has diabetes and 32% hypertension, with higher prevalence, of course, as we know, in the African-American community. With this program, they'll help monitor that. And when people have these diseases, they'll keep in touch with them. They'll follow up with them. Your regular pharmacist doesn't do that because they just don't have the time nor the capacity to do it. Diabetes education, specialized packaging. So I know my father, he passed away from cancer, and one of his biggest challenges was just keeping straight what he was taking. So specializing the packaging would help the actual patients know exactly what they are taking and when they should be taking it. Point of contact testing. This is something that was done years ago in small communities with small pharmacies, but they're going to bring it back where you can go and you can get your measles shot. You can get tested for this, you can get tested for that, and it'll be right around the corner from your home. Insurance coverage plans that they want to go after partnering with: Medicare Part B and D, United Healthcare, Medicare Complete, Cigna, Aetna, Humana, and Express Scripts. Renovation, they've completed 100% of the build out. They used a minority contractor from the community, Jackson Recycle Homes, and they helped the contractor along the way, completing the actual, build out of the facility at 2306 Market. So the renovation itself total was $65,000. And I think it was, Alicia, was it you who said you saw this beforehand? And so this facility, I've been there, Tiana and I both made a visit. It's beautiful. They've done fantastic work inside. These guys are ready to go. And again, this is the building. And to show you that they've actually completed all of the work inside, they have the certificate of occupancy. So everything is done. And they have a recommendation letter from the city, from MECO showing support. They have other recommendation letters from pharmacists, from their consulting firm, which is Independent Pharmacy Consulting, who they help them day by day and holding their hand through the trials and tribulations where a lot of these seasoned pharmacists, troubles that they've seen, they're helping these two young gentlemen through all of that. So what they need now is just a little undergirding from this board to help them get over the hump and start their business up. Any questions about Good Brothers Pharmacy? And this is again, some of the additional documentation that's available. Tammy, raise her hand.
Yeah,
Hey, Cammy, hold on for a minute. I always like to go to the neighborhood advocate. I mean. Well, thank you. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, let's go. That's for, I was like, we went to Mike. This is in Gabe's neighborhood. We want to see kind of what he thinks about this project and the people, doing this project.
Right. So I don't know, I've met both of these guys just in different community settings. I don't know them personally. The one thing I know for sure is that they have been fighting for this, as you said, for about 5 years.
Yeah.
Because that's when I initially found out about what this work that they were doing. It was at least 5 years ago, maybe a little bit before everybody else even found out about it. I've talked to a whole lot of folks in the Russell neighborhood. And when they heard that this was even who we were considering for funding, they were extremely excited. The only things that I would say, and they weren't even negative things, but the only things that I heard from people, they were like, oh, I love them. I wish they were located closer to me, or I wish they were located here or there. So yeah, I feel good about them. My concerns are more about just how hard what they are trying to do is, both from a business startup perspective and in this particular space as a small business. That doesn't mean that I think we should not do this. I think we should, but I think we should be very intentional in the loan terms about how we can be a reason that they succeed, and not one that ultimately puts more strain on them, because what they're trying to do is very difficult. It's very, very difficult. And that's compounded when they have to deal with the structural marginalization that occurs in our neighborhood. So I just hope we can bear that in mind if they are approved, that we're ensured that we can help them succeed.
And to piggyback off what we said, that independent pharmacy consultants, that they're going hand in hand with them. When applicants sign that acknowledgement, they also acknowledge the fact that the partnership will go hand in hand with them. So there'll be oversight provided if funded throughout the process.
Tammy?
y'all ready for me now? I don't know either one of these guys personally. I have heard that they have been very persistent. Some may think that persistent isn't good, but I'm a firm believer that when you're opening up a business, you have to be persistent, and you got to keep going. And just to be able to see that fight, it's already hard enough just being a minority as it is. And most pharmacies, and I'm hearing a lot of this from my constituents, most pharmacies, they're not even opening up on time. They don't have, the tech doesn't get there on time. A lot of Walgreens are closing down, CVS's. I feel like that we need to be, I know Gabe said something about, what they're going to be doing is really hard. Something to that effect, correct. and I feel like that is even more reason that we should support them and be very intentional um, with supporting them, because the bigger that they become, the more job opportunities, that will be right there. And then it may give somebody, hope to go to school, to become a pharmacist or a tech or whatnot. So I'm looking, long haul for them. And then if other neighborhoods want to see, you know, pharmacies in their areas, I think that there's a lot of growth for that in different areas once this is successful.
And they're looking to open up another location within the next couple of years here in the community as well.
So, two things. One, I'll say, if you're able to connect us, we may be able to, we've been urgently be able to connect them to Centerwell, which is a tenant of ours. It's right down the street from them. And that's something that they do primary care for seniors. And so I know that's a target population for them, so that may be an opportunity in terms of helping them. But the other, and this is more of maybe a process question, because I wonder, I'm looking at what they're asking for, and it's just about renovation, but do we know in your conversations with them, do they need operating
No,
support?
the renovations is done. They completed the build out. This is for operations.
This is all operating.
Yeah, this is
Okay.
operations. Yeah,
This is
this is
all
to get
operating.
them, float them along the way. Yes.
Okay, cool. And so, in that then, what I did see in here then is the breakdown of where that's going.
The allocation is in that folder that it's not in here because
Okay.
finances, right, exactly. So they have their allocation there. It's going to actual personnel, their staffing, their inventory, of course, they have the lease in place. They're gonna have bills to pay. So they have their allocation laid out and they have their budget laid out for the next 5 years.
And one thing I didn't see is the business aspect of it and coming from that area. What is the insurance for business like that?
They have their insurance in place. Exactly what their premium is, I would have to refer to Pro for that because they went through all the actual financials, but we have confirmed that they do have their insurance in place already. And as I said, them working with the independent RX consultants, they're making sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed.
Justin's looking to see if he can find that.
Yeah, I'm trying to get that up.
Oh, okay.
You call it back?
Yeah. Awesome. Mike, go ahead. Sorry.
So this list, 2 part-time pharmacists. Is this in the documentation that is provided to the finance?
Yes,
Okay, 'cause I don't remember having specific questions about the pharmacists. Are these just employees? Are they principals? What's their
The
role?
principal will be Dr. Samantha Hammond, and there's a letter of agreement for her that she's saying that she's going to sign on for them as the pharmacist in charge. So the other 2 pharmacists will be part-time.
So there's gonna be a pharmacist with equity in the project.
Yeah.
That's probably a good thing. And then
And her letter is in that folder as well. Did you go into it after the last finance meeting?
I haven't looked in there since.
Because there were documents dropped in that day, that evening, because some of this information is sensitive. So some of it is gonna be privy to the finance committee and Crow, and then some of it is strictly gonna be Crow will be the only one privy to it. But all of their financials won't go into that folder until the finance committee said that they're gonna recommend them. And then it's dropped that day. And I think, like I said, Lyndon, I believe you have access to that folder. I know you do, Mike. And if anyone else wants access, just let Rita know and we'll get that done right away for you.
When do they think they can open? Like, what is what they're looking for from us enough to get them open? And if so, when?
According to their schedule, they already have the inventory plan in place. So their suppliers waiting to pull the trigger. They should be able to open up within 90 days of receiving funding.
Yeah, I mean, as a neighborhood, I'm a neighborhood rep, I'm also a business owner. And some of the concerns on the financial side are, the cash flow of doing something like this and just um, the largeness of it. So, I think there are real concerns there, but, the pharmacy in my neighborhood closed and now I have to go drive across a bridge and go out of state to get, pharmacy stuff. The impact that this can have to the community and the surrounding areas is huge. A bank probably wouldn't touch this, but this is exactly what we as an institution should do. The risks are high, but the impacts are higher. So, I think it's, worth the risk and see where we end up. And if these guys have been working, as a business owner, you need the tenacity to keep going with something, even though you're not sure it's gonna work. And if they've been, doing this for 5 years and incrementally making progress, I think that's a testament to their capabilities as well.
And beyond the impact, the controls they've put in place as far as the resources that they're utilizing to ensure this success is, ensure it as much as you can with any startup.
The hours of operation?
Not just yet. I'll get that information for you though.
Anybody else have any questions, concerns, comments? If not, again, the finance committee has recommended this to the full board and we would take a roll call vote.
Sharon Allen, I know she's not here. Lethea Burns. Dr. Douglas Craddock.
Aye.
Jennifer Hancock. Jennifer Hancock.
Aye.
Tammy Hawkins.
Yes.
Secretary Jackson. Deputy Mayor David James.
Yes.
Darlene is not here. Dr. Gabe Jones.
Yes.
Dr. Mary Milner.
Yes.
Michael Nagel.
Yes.
Lyndon Pryor.
Yes.
Christopher Romaine.
Yes.
Desmond is not here. Kevin Smith.
Yes.
Reverend Snarden.
Yes.
William Summers.
Yes.
And Gary Williams is not here.
We need to stand. For us.
I got no champagne in the fridge.
We got water.
We got regular water.
Thank you all very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So this is a wonderful day.
So not regular. All right.
Wonderful day.
Yeah, yes, sir.
I just wanna, so this is a great day. It's a great thing we've done. I think that we should tell the world about it. And I
Yes.
suggest that we have some sort of press announcement, not a release, but a press conference announcing what we've done.
That's
Now,
a good
that might
idea.
cause more applications, but I think it's good. And I think that people will be glad to see that WEOP is actually doing things.
You're right. We've already preempted.
Yeah. Dr. Wade is
Dr. Wade about it. She's ready.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. Right.
If we don't have anything else, finance committee, we don't have anything else, we can move on to board development.
Jennifer's up. It's Jennifer.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I have a brief update for you this evening. We have one seat that we are prepared to recommend that be filled by Mr. Kevin Fields, the CEO of LCCC. The Board Development Committee had an opportunity to interview Mr. Fields and another candidate. Both we were extremely impressed with, both very passionate and committed to supporting the partnership and most importantly, supporting the 9 neighborhoods of West Louisville. We had a robust discussion and ultimately determined that Mr. Fields was best suited to join the board at this particular point in time, and that his history of engagement with us and with many important community projects in West Louisville would be advantageous to our organization. And so the second candidate we have invited to consider a different opportunity as we start to position ourselves for longer term sustainability and bringing on individuals that could ultimately succeed us as board members by engaging at a committee. So we're referring the second candidate for a committee opportunity. But tonight, with the full support of the Board Development Committee, we are prepared to recommend Mr. Fields as the candidate for your consideration for the advocacy seat.
So at this time, we would like to take a vote on having Mr. Kevin Fields and fill the advocacy board seat vacancy. At this time, all in favor? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? And so the motion is carried.
Thank you, everyone. I'm excited to have us welcome Kevin to our board. The next and last item that I want to update you about is the remaining seats. And that includes the foundation or philanthropy seat. We're still pursuing candidates that would be qualified for that particular seat. And then very importantly, as a reminder, we now have 7 of the 9 neighborhood seats that we need to renew and select membership for. Because we've been unsuccessful in executing the nominator process, we've decided to work with Dr. Jones and his committee and Dr. Wade and Nimbus to make sure that we are messaging throughout the neighborhoods that this opportunity exists for this board and specifically the committee to accept applications directly. So we received some feedback in that committee meeting of the Community Engagement Committee, that is, that we need to take another look at our website to make sure that it's really clearly defined how to apply and what the scope of the role of a board member is. And then we're going to have some social media and other assets that Dr. Wade and her team are going to create so that together we can start messaging this throughout the 7 neighborhoods and ultimately receiving those applications directly so that we can interview prospects for each of those 7 seats and then bring forward candidates to you. Along with that thinking is our desire to make sure that we're building a pipeline of potential successors. So if we have more than one qualified candidate, our commitment is to find other places to plug them in as supporters of the organization and the mission until such time we have additional board turnover where they might be considered for future board seats. I'll pause there and see if you have any questions for me or any feedback that you'd like to give. Okay, well, again, thank you to Dr. Jones and his committee for partnering with us around this initiative, and that concludes my report, Chair.
Right, and so we will turn it over to community engagement with our Dr. Gabriel Jones.
Dramatic delivery. Yeah, so mine will be quick. I feel like a lot of what I would be sharing was covered by Jennifer and also by Dr. Wade. So at our most recent meeting, it wasn't a formal committee meeting, I should say. Instead, it was a planning meeting just for us. And we talked at length about recruitment strategies and ways to fill those board seats that we currently have vacant and the ones that will become vacant with neighborhood representatives. We also talked a lot with Dr. Wade's team about how to sustain community engagement activities over the long haul, because that's something that we will definitely need to do. And it may be reflecting, or maybe one of the reasons that we're having a little bit of trouble recruiting. So we talked about how to do that. We will also be leaning on Dr. Craddock, who I owe a phone call. I gotta just say that out loud. Who I owe a phone call. I think so, at least. I think that's where it is. So we will be engaging with Dr. Craddock's expertise as well. Trying to think, I was really excited to see Dr. Wade's presentation because I think it was reflective of a lot of the things that we talked about in our most recent meeting. I'm looking forward to what comes from it. Okay. All I have, nothing to vote on or anything today.
All right. Thank you very much for that. And that, of course, brings us to our old business. And so we have bylaw amendments that we have discussed with lovely, lovely, lovely in her pink today.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I felt springy in my pants. Hopefully everyone got a chance to look at this. If you'll remember, in the December meeting, we voted to create an executive committee. This is simply putting that into the bylaws and reorganizing the language of 5.7 a little bit to just clarify and to memorialize how you all have been conducting committees. So that's all this is. Yes.
Very good. And 5.7A, we talked about the executive committee may also act on matters of emergency nature. We have a definition for that.
No, I took that from another board I'm on, and we had that in our bylaws, and we have literally never had to act on an emergency nature. But it's been in there to give the flexibility, but it's not defined. I think that could be stricken if the board wishes, but that's where that language came from, was simply looking for a form of executive committee powers.
I don't know what an emergency nature would be, but could it be something that if it's done in an emergency, it still needs to be ratified by the board at the next meeting or something like that? That way they could explain why.
Yeah, and
Would
in
have
fact,
to be emergency.
if you all are comfortable, may act on matters of emergency nature so long as the action is presented to the board at the next board meeting.
Mike is his hand.
Oh, sorry. I was writing it down to make sure I got it.
What you're doing.
Okay, yes, sir.
So I think Chris covered most of my stuff, but there's 2 section Cs.
Oh, thanks.
So I think that's it.
Number failed. Anything else?
I would recommend us adopting policy that says every committee has a charter. And we actually spell out what that committee is going to do, what its parameters are, that's approved by the board. That way we don't run into a situation where we create a committee, but we don't know what that committee actually does, what its responsibilities actually are. Food standing committee, but certainly
I think that D contemplates or would allow that. I think that can be done as a policy matter separately. I think that's a good suggestion, that each committee should come up with a charter for consideration. But I do think that that is within the power granted under D. The D is flexible enough to allow that kind of work to be done by resolution and not fully memorialized in the bylaws.
Just to the first issue that we were talking about, the emergency thing. So are we saying that the executive committee can take whatever emergency action they need to take, and whatever action they take in will be presented to the board for their information?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
That's not what
I think Mike was contemplating was presented to the board for ratification
Okay.
as to be voted on. Is that?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Okay.
Well, I would debate that. The purpose for having an emergency is because you have to take some sort of action. You can't take that action and then come back 2 weeks later and say, no, we don't agree with that after they've already taken the action.
Yeah, it will cause some,
I would agree with that from a standpoint, most executive committees do have the authority and ability to do that. But that is, my thing is, but I don't want people to think that that's gonna be done in lieu of coming to the board. It's just based upon, it's an emergency that needs to be acted on immediately. We may not be able to get everybody from the board here. So
Correct.
that,
yeah, or at least what's coming to mind for me, just from a legal standpoint, is the only time I could expect to advise to ask for emergency action would be literally if there is some kind of disaster and we have to get an emergency contract for the premises, something like that. If the party we're contracting with can't count on us to stand behind that contract because the board turns their back on it, that does cause legal problems. That's where I go in my mind as far as what might be an emergency. That is a decision for you all.
every board that I've been on there with the executive committee, we've had that, and they've had this, that we're able to do that. So I don't,
Yeah,
it's
it's
pretty standard routine, yeah.
So
Acting
could,
on emergency.
if you guys have enough time to call an executive meeting, could we get an email out to the board outlining the emergency?
Yes. I don't know if that needs to be in the bylaws. That should be an expectation, but yes, I think part of the issue here is I would expect to give the executive committee this power because it's easier to get them together in the case of an emergency and have a quorum as opposed to the whole board. Because I think we all know that when we've tried to have special meetings, getting a quorum has at times been a challenge. So we're subject to open meetings laws. We can call a special meeting on a 24-hour notice, but if we can't get a quorum, then it doesn't matter. So I think we are talking about marginal calls where we're not likely to have this happen very often.
Do you want to add, use the emergency language, but to require a report by the executive committee at the next board meeting regarding the nature of the emergency and the action taken? At least then there's an obligation to.
I just know since we only meet every other month, and so say an emergency happened tomorrow, we're not gonna know for 2 months what that action was.
I say what you said is right. If it's something about you, so we can get something out
to the board.
to the
know
board
about it.
to make sure, I think that's
yeah.
totally fair. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah, that's a good thing, yeah.
You shouldn't have to
Yeah.
wait till
Till May.
the next
Right.
board.
Yeah.
So then an obligation to inform the board
Yeah.
within a reasonable amount of time, or how much time?
And if you're calling, it just seems like if you can get the 6 people together, we could also send out an email at the same time.
So when the action is taken.
Yeah.
The emergency action is taken to inform the board. At that time.
So what if like the emergency condition is non-financial or non-business, like, it's ruled that there's an issue with the board member and, there's, meeting not for so many months and executive committee votes to remove someone, like, we're just
I
gonna
don't
say.
think you could
"Oh,
ever say that's an emergency.
No,
I think that would be difficult.
We haven't
Just-
defined the emergency.
Right, but there's always going to be things that aren't defined. I think that's when you have the issue of then the board is going to lose confidence in their leadership.
That's not an emergency.
Yeah.
Usually somebody dies or a building falls down.
And you need to get a contractor
There's
in.
a tornado that wipes the building out. It's
Yeah.
something, it's a real.
You have a
emergency.
plumbing disaster and a pipe is broken and you've got to sign a contract and get somebody in and it's over Laura's authority.
Signature authority.
That's normally where I would see this kind of emergency situation in reality.
Again, man, this is pretty standard for organizations and executive committees.
But to the example of removal, there's a set bylaws about removal. I just can't imagine
Yeah, that's.
that that
not
would
an
ever be
emergency.
an emergent issue.
You know, the concern in the community is, we don't want to set up any way, the board could be usurped. Because I think the legislation was pretty specific into who was put in place and, everybody's all part of the same team. If that can be, if there's an exit ramp for that, that can be problematic.
We'll take a vote. We need to vote. We're gonna take a roll call vote.
Well, we need a motion and a second as well, because this has not gone through a committee.
Oh, that's right, that's it.
I'll make a motion that we accept the executive committee. How do you want me to say that?
The draft as amended to include notification requirements.
Yes.
Yeah.
Second.
All those in favor? Any opposed?
And we will update the full bylaw document with this amendment and send it out to everybody, so they've got the full most updated version.
New business. Any new business? Okay. Hands up, no? Okay, great. So of course, as you see our schedule here. If there are no questions about the schedule, we are ready to adjourn.
Wait.
Oh, yes.
I mean, because we've got Memorial Day scheduled for our next meeting and it says needs to be on the day.
Oh.
Oh, I didn't have it
Go
in front of me. It's the neighborhood, neighborhood.
It's
the holiday.
It's a holiday.
One of my sent out an email, Kim has seen that.
Yeah.
We kind of
because
think about the options and send that out to everybody,
Okay.
because it's a Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Mr.
Motion adjourned.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Thank you guys. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.